Welcome back to the Pure Motivation Podcast. I'm your host, Ryan, and joining me today is Madison.
Great to be here, Ryan. Always ready for a good dose of inspiration.
Well, today we're diving into something a little different. A motivational speech by none other than Matthew McConaughey.
All right. Seriously, though, an Oscar winner giving life advice, color me intrigued.
Right. The speech is called 5 Minutes for the Next 50 Years, and it's packed with insights on defining and achieving success, McConaughey style.
I'm all ears. Success is such a loaded word, though. Everyone seems to have a different definition.
Exactly. And that's where McConaughey starts. He doesn't hand you a prepackaged definition. Instead, he throws down a challenge. Define your success, or someone else will do it for you.
I like that. It's about taking ownership right from the start. It's deciding what you want, not just following someone else's script.
Absolutely. And to get you thinking, he asks, what are you unwilling to sacrifice for your success? That's your true north. What resonates with you about that, Madison?
It's about identifying your non-negotiables. What are your core values? The things you absolutely will not compromise on no matter what, because those are the things that will keep you grounded and on track when things get tough.
That's such a powerful point. It's not just about what you want to achieve, but also about who you want to be along the way.
Right. It's about aligning your actions with your values, making sure that your pursuit of success doesn't come at the cost of your integrity.
Okay. So you've defined your success, your true north,
Mm-hmm.
but how do you actually clear the path to get there? Well, McConaughey says it's about knowing what you don't want.
That's interesting. It seems counterintuitive, right? We're usually so focused on what we want to achieve, we forget about what we need to let go of.
Exactly. It's about eliminating the things that don't serve you, the things that hold you back.
Yeah.
He calls this knowing who you are not.
So it's like decluttering, but for your life. Getting rid of the negative influences, the bad habits, the energy vampires.
Precisely. Think of it like this. Every time you say no to that energy vampire, you're saying yes to your own growth.
It's about creating space for the things that truly matter, the things that align with your definition of success. What are some examples McConaughey gives?
He talks about those friends who bring you down more than they lift you up. You know, the ones who are constantly negative or who drain your energy.
It's not easy to distance yourself from those relationships, but it's essential for your own well-being. And it's not just people, right? It could be unhealthy habits, toxic environments, or even just negative self-talk.
He also talks about those things that tempt you to stray from your path. Maybe it's that bar that always leads to a terrible hangover, or that endless scrolling on social media that keeps you from actually living your life.
It's about recognizing those distractions and making a conscious choice to say no to them. It's about being disciplined and focused on what truly matters.
This is all great food for thought, and I'm sure our listeners are starting to see how this applies to their own lives.
Yeah.
If you're finding this as insightful as we are, make sure to head over to puremotivationpodcast.com. We got tons of resources to help you define your success and eliminate those roadblocks.
It's a great place to find inspiration, connect with like-minded individuals, and keep that motivation burning bright.
Now back to McConaughey. He doesn't shy away from the fact that even when you're clear on your definition of success and you're working towards it, you're still going to make mistakes. It's inevitable.
Right, and that's where his advice on taking ownership really hits home. He's not saying to beat yourself up over mistakes, but rather to acknowledge them, learn from them, and move on.
He uses this great phrase, you are the author of the book of your life. It's a reminder that you have the power to write your own story.
But here's where I have a slightly different take. While it's empowering to think of ourselves as authors, it's also important to remember that we don't have complete control over the story. Life throws us curveballs.
That's a really good point, Madison. It's about finding that balance between taking responsibility for our choices and accepting that there are things beyond our control.
Exactly. We can't control everything that happens to us, but we can control how we respond to it.
So we've talked about defining your success, eliminating negativity, and taking ownership. But how do you actually maintain that success once you've achieved it? McConaughey uses a brilliant analogy for this, tending a garden. What do you make of that, Madison?
I love that analogy. It's such a perfect visual, right? You put so much work into it, you've got to keep at it.
It's not just a set it and forget it type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's constantly putting in the effort, nurturing those things that bring you success.
And it's different for everyone, right? Like, for some people, it's those healthy habits, you know? For others, it's constantly learning and growing. And for some, it's about relationships.
So you plant the seeds, you got to nurture them.
Yeah.
But you don't just walk away.
Bro, you got to stay with it. Like with a garden, sometimes things just don't work out. You know, weeds can pop up.
And that's when McConaughey brings up architecture.
Oh, yeah. Using it as a verb, though.
Like we're building our lives brick by brick.
I find that interesting. The process is just as important as the outcome.
Being mindful of your choices and habits.
Mm.
Always evaluating.
Yeah. It's like being an architect. But for your own life. You're always making changes to improve it.
Making sure it's strong and stable. And making it your own.
It can be rough at times, but it makes us better.
So we've talked about defining success, getting rid of negativity, taking ownership. But how do you keep that success going? McConaughey talks about creating outcomes that pay us back and keep our fire lit. What are your thoughts on that, Madison?
I think it's about making a difference. It's about finding that thing that makes you happy, but also helps others.
Like it's not enough just to do it for yourself.
Yeah, it's about finding work and relationships that are fulfilling and also contribute to something bigger.
A life that feels impactful. I like that.
And when you do,
Yeah.
when you find that thing, it inspires other people.
Makes the world a better place.
Yeah.
And if you're feeling inspired, make sure to visit puremotivationpodcast.com. We've got a whole community of people who are all about personal growth.
Lots of great resources there.
Back to McConaughey. He talks about how to actually find these things that pay us back. What's the big idea there?
It's all about studying yourself. Like what are your habits, your routines, the things that you do that make you feel good?
So it's the small stuff, the everyday things
Yeah.
that help you reach those bigger goals.
It's about being aware, right? Like how are you spending your time and who are you spending it with? What makes you feel like you have a purpose?
McConaughey says it's about the things that align with our values, the things that bring us joy, the things that contribute to our overall well-being. So we have to constantly be checking in.
Right, refining things. Like you try it out, see if it works. And if it doesn't, you try something new. It's all about finding out what really works for you.
It's not always easy,
Right.
but it's worth it. Because when you find that thing, when you're living the way you want to, that's when things really start to change.
Exactly. And I think what's so great about McConaughey's approach is that he's not afraid to talk about the hard stuff, but he also gives you tools to deal with it, He reminds you that you're in control.
He's like that friend who's been through it all,
Yeah.
and he's telling you his secrets.
And that's what we're trying to do here on the Pure Motivation podcast, giving you the advice and support you need to create a life that you love.
And for more help on your journey, make sure to check out puremotivationpodcast.com. We have a whole community of people who are on the same path.
We've got articles and tips and even a forum where you can talk to other listeners.
So to sum it all up, what are the big takeaways from McConaughey's speech?
Define your own success. Don't let anyone tell you what it should look like for you.
Success is a journey, not a destination.
And find those things that bring you joy, the things that give you purpose, the things that make you feel alive.
McConaughey says, we are the authors of our own lives. We can create a life that we love.
So here's a question for you. What's one small thing you can do today to start building that life?
Because every journey starts with a single step. And for more inspiration and support, don't forget to visit puremotivationpodcast.com.
We're here to help you every step of the way.
Thanks for listening to the Pure Motivation Podcast. We'll see you next time for another deep dive into the world of personal growth and self-discovery.